and thank you for waiting tonight. We had to wait on that big game. Gators winning over Alabama in a tight one, although they led big time. Tonight on the program, we've got several people who can weigh in on that. One being, as soon as he gets here, we'll have Edgar Thomson, maybe on now. Allie Peak Wilbur is here. I see Edgar. Edgar, I'm coming to get you in just a minute. And I'm going to play the open, and we'll talk about Gators win over Alabama in Alabama. Another win over a top team. This Gator basketball team is hot, hot, hot for sure. So stand by while we go up here and get our information, our music, and we'll get started here with it.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ? I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Hey, good evening. Dilly to you. How about that win? Gators upset. They won by, I believe, 5. I can't remember, but they were underdogs by 3.5. That was a good bet. I said earlier I would like to have that if I was a bettor, but I'm not, and neither is this guy. Good evening to you, Edgar. Thanks for holding on. We got a little tied up in the basketball game there, but good to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
It has been a while.
That was quite a game.
It was kind of amazing. Yeah, it was worth the wait. I mean, you can talk about 2 or 3 players, but Walter Clayton had a good game and a bad game. He turned the ball over a lot. They seem to get somebody every night. Somebody else steps up. Terrific rebounding offensive board. What stuck out to you, Edgar, in that game?
Well, I mean, Alex Condon was phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
I mean, career high 27, led the rebounding effort along with Chignella. They had 21 combined. It was another double-double for Alex. They out-rebounded Alabama, buddy, 50-35. Okay. They had 22 fast break points to 10. I mean, Condon had several alley-oops. A lot of contributions, though. I mean, I thought Walter Clayton at one point, I'm thinking, Mark Sears, was out playing them pretty significantly.
Yeah,
I mean, Clayton really came on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he finished with 22-30 for Sears, but some of that was garbage time for Sears. He had 8 assists and 1 turnover. I mean, and NBA scouts were flooding that place tonight. And he's, I hate to say this, but it could be bye-bye Alex Condon potentially. And Walter Clayton certainly impressed. So a lot of guys impressed, but those 2 stood out. I mean, Chignello's rebounding was terrific early on, and Houck was tough down the stretch. So just a good team, man. Tough-minded, deep, a lot of pieces. I mean, Will Richard was 0 of 5 from 3, so he didn't do much tonight, but he's coming off 30 and 25, so he'll wake up a game when they need him. This team's going to go deep in the NCAA tournament, barring a unforeseen slip-up. And we could be in San Antonio with this group. It would not surprise me.
It's kind of amazing. They just don't seem to get that respect that beating 2 top 10 teams like that. I mean, and as they've done, they dominated really the top teams in the SEC, which is obviously the deepest talent anywhere in the SEC. I'm not going to sound like a homer here, but they're just fine. They're on the bubble between a 1 and a 2. I don't think it's critical. They're going to get that double bye in the SEC. Sets them up nicely for who knows where they'll go whether they'll go to Raleigh or go out to San Francisco. But I just want to say the amazing talent. You're talking about tough, physically tough. Elijah Martin, he took a blow to the head tonight. The other guy had to leave the game and then come back. And they're physically, they dive for basketballs on the floor. I just love the way this team plays, Edgar.
Yeah, they moved into the number 1 seed probably tonight, but that can change with the SEC tournament.
Okay.
Or I do. I think Lenardi had him number 2, 6 overall. You win at Alabama, 2 top 10 wins. If you really look, now they're 6, 7, and 4 against quad ones now. Auburn is like ridiculous. Their record's insane against quad ones.
I don't understand why
But
quad ones are more important than head-to-head, but they are, I guess, in that regard.
Well, but what I was going to say is the only game Florida couldn't have won was the Tennessee game on the road, right?
Yeah.
They're losing by 26 at Georgia and almost won the game. Missouri, they just were stale from the start and almost won that game. Came back, wasn't their night. And Kentucky, score 100 at Kentucky and lose. So they've lost like one game where it was one-sided. So this team has had an incredible year.
Really incredible.
And
by the way, we're going to talk football tonight, Edgar, because we have you two on, but we can't stop talking about this basketball team, Allie.
You know? I mean, they are incredibly talented. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch tonight. I was wrangling children, but they beat Alabama. Pretty exciting. I'm really, really excited to see what this team does in the tournament. Buddy, I heard you mention before you brought me on that, they're not getting the respect that they deserve. I kind of love when that happens to Florida teams.
It's good for them.
Yeah, they kind of use that as fuel. Saban would call it rat poison. I think that's okay. I think we're in a great position.
Yeah, it's just I've said this numerous times. It sounds homer, but I just love watching this team play. Their work ethic is tremendous. They play for each other. They don't whine and complain about some bad calls, and there were some tonight you could have complained about.
Yeah.
When one guy's not playing them well, somebody steps up. And Todd Golden's done it.
They're like that 05-06 basketball team.
Like that.
That's kind of what they remind me of. I mean, we know how that turned out. So
yeah, Edgar, you think the 05 of 04s and 5s were better than this team or not?
Probably just because Noah and Horford. I mean, that's tough sledding down there. But these guards are phenomenal. I don't know. I mean, and it was a different era, really. I mean, that's 20 years ago almost. Basketball has changed. This team is
like the camaraderie that they have, the brotherhood that they have. This is a team that plays for each other, which I think in this, age of sports is somewhat rare.
I've never seen a team with 5 really good guards. Never. And this is not including the front court, which can hold their own with anybody. As Franz likes to say, that's 25 fouls in the paint you can give too. So they got incredible depth. And they just look how they play. I mean, it's a fun thing to watch, and it would be criminal for them to go out early, wouldn't it?
I think they're getting to the second weekend. I mean, barring a complete fiasco, and really the Elite Eight, anything short of that would be underwhelming. I think everyone's expecting at least a shot at a regional final.
My favorite players have been Alex Condon all year long. And obviously, I mean, I like the guys that aren't necessarily the starters, but they got so many players that are fun to watch. Condon is amazing. And we were talking about this before, Allie, about whether he might come out and go to the NBA. I've seen stories, but we know there's been scouts there about them loving him, his height, his ability to handle the ball, his toughness. And he showed his toughness. So just fun. So now they're going to play at home against Ole Miss. And if they win, will they get that number one? I don't know. They certainly will be going to the SEC tournament in Nashville as in a quad not that having a double bye, which is a huge advantage, Edgar, when you don't have to play those many games.
Well, last year they wore out. I think Todd felt a little. And then you had the Hen Logden injury in the tournament final. Look, this team will go to the SEC tournament in position to get a number 1 seed. Jay Billis tonight said it. 2 things interesting. One is if you look at the history, which I'm going to look at, because if they do get a number 1, I want to be prepared how they fare. Typically, number 1s, how far they go. He just says overall they tend to do better even than the 2s. We'll see. I mean, it's got to be true, I would think. The other thing he said is this is the best conference relative to the competition ever that he's seen.
Yeah.
Now, this is a guy who's ACC guy. Now, I grew up in ACC country. I was living in Virginia when Jay Billis was at Duke. I mean, I remember him as a college player, number 21, I think. But the point being is that's coming from an ACC guy who's biased.
Yeah, but I mean,
ever.
Stevie Wonder could see that. I mean,
okay, well, I guess.
I mean 13 teams. I mean, 13 teams can make the. Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about depth. Now, if you want to argue that, that Carolina and Duke all had better teams, fine. In terms of depth,
but what about Ralph Sampson in Virginia? And what
about him? I saw him play.
Then?
No, I saw that team play. No,
buddy,
no.
them in North Carolina were in the 1981 Final
That's
Four.
That's 2 teams. I'm talking about 13.
I'm saying there was great basketball in the ACC, Len Bias and Michael Jordan.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that wasn't great basketball. I'm talking about the depth of a conference. Never have there been 13
I'm
teams.
just saying, I was surprised Billis said it. That was all I was saying.
All right.
Given his background.
All right.
I mean, if he's saying it, it's kind of like, okay, it's hard to argue if he's saying it. That's kind of what I meant.
Yeah. Allie, we are going to talk football tonight because this show was designed to do that, but we can't get to that just yet. You have your podcast. You do mostly all football.
Yeah.
But you travel amongst a lot of Gators. What do you hear them saying about this basketball team?
I mean, I was talking to, I have a family member who's a pretty significant booster, and he's just like in love with this team. And we talked a little bit about the stuff that's gone on with Todd Golden, and he was saying how the program as a whole is so glad that that's just behind them, and that he has, such support from Strickland, and essentially they want some of these other programs, football being one of them, to kind of start, producing in the way that basketball is producing. And I think they expect, he told me he felt like if we didn't make it to at least the Elite 8, but potentially the Final 4, it was kind of going to be a disappointment at this point.
That's kind of what I was saying. It's Elite 8. Elite 8 would be the minimum. I think people would be, and it would have to be a matchup that just didn't kind of go their way.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Scott Strickland's in full support of this program.
I would say
it's the best thing he's done is hire Todd Golden.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. And I don't even know that was fully his decision as opposed to like potentially a recommendation from other people. But yeah, I mean, it was a great hire, but I do think that all of the extracurricular off the court stuff being kind of behind him has been helpful as well. They can just focus on basketball, and it ended up clearly that the university did the right thing by allowing him to continue to coach and kind of shutting out the noise, because he ended up being, cleared, at least from that investigation standpoint. So I think it's a fun team to watch. I think these are players that we get behind and we can relate to, which, buddy, you and I talk all the time about this, mostly about football, but about how we're just in a generation of sports where, because players are so transient, we don't know a whole lot about them. So we don't necessarily support them in the same way that we did a Tim Tebow or a Danny Warfel or an Al Horford or something like that. And I feel like this team has that. Like, I don't, almost like old school, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I have a question for both of you guys real quick, and then we can move on. Because, Allie, I even requested you come on tonight because I need to hear about the punting situation.
Yes, she did. She
very
said,
heartbroken that Jeremy Crawshaw's gone.
Right?
Edgar's now program director for the Buddy Martin Show.
I love it.
No, but
no, it's good.
Crawshaw,
No.
I mean, he's gone. But hold on. Here's my question.
Right.
Joking aside. Would you sign Todd Golden to an extension? I would. And what would it be? Mark Long, who I do a podcast with, said 10 years, 70 million. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that, but I could do 7 years, 42, or maybe do 5.5, and then with some incentives to get him up to, 6 pretty quickly. Because I think Bruce Pearl's 5'9" right now, and will definitely get a contract extension.
Yeah.
And I think you got to lock in Todd Golden, because people are going to be sniffing around and wanting to get him.
You got to pay him the big bucks, and you got to lock it in as long term as you possibly can, because people are going to become knocking on the door very soon.
Well, what do you think the deal should be, buddy, Allie?
I'd say probably as long as you can get him. I would, first of all, how long do you want to sign? Secondly, he ain't going to sign anything till this tournament, till this year is over.
Right.
I would say probably between 6 and 7 for 8 years.
Yeah. If you can get him to commit to an 8-year, I think that would be huge, and that it's going to help with recruiting. It's going to help with, getting big dollar donors to buy in as well, because it's a long-term deal. But you've got to think, where does he rank in terms of SEC coaches and salary right now?
Great question. Well, of course, Pearl.
Pearl is only, but Pearl, he's just pushing 6, and for all he's done, and Calipari's obviously 1, but but like guys like, I'll tell you, Matt Painter at Purdue, we're talking a different conference.
How about Oates?
Oates is like 5-ish. I remember we looked at it. We were all surprised, like Matt Painter, back to him for a second. He's like 4.8. I was like, really? That's all Matt Painter makes? That guy's been kicking butt there for years. So they don't pay like they do in football.
Obviously. No, I know, but this is a different time. Basketball is a big moneymaker now in the SEC. But not to spend forever on basketball tonight, because we got some serious football to talk about.
Do it.
First, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor, number one, our friends at Meldon Law. Jeffrey Meldon, he, of course, is Mr. Gator, and he's doing nice things for the school. He's also, this is the only official law firm, injury law firm for the University of Florida. Jeffrey gives away great stuff on his webpage, on his Facebook page, if you need tickets or goodies, whatever. And they like to say, if you call us, the chances you'll get a Meldon. They're located in 4 places: Ocala, Gainesville, Williston, Lake City. Meldon Law, they won't back down. Football starts tomorrow, guys. I couldn't remember. I was thinking I had to text Edgar to be sure. I thought it started tomorrow. But,
it's tomorrow.
Lagway, it's hard to tell where these things came from. Some of them are like weeks old. And the latest one is DJ Lagway reveal how Florida used Napier hot seat talk to motivate people. That was definitely motivation, because I feel like they were disrespecting our coach and disrespecting us genuinely. Well, that's good for them. Here we go.
Where was that?
I don't know. I was picking it up
the
off
RG3
Twitter.
podcast.
Could be. I got it off. I'll be honest with you. I got it off Twitter, and I wish I knew. I don't like to use unattributable things. But Billy Napier, it was his 4th season with a roster showing more depth than previous years. Now I went over the roster. I finally got a good copy of the roster. It's hard to get one. I had to cut and paste.
They're putting it up tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I wanted it tonight. So I had to go dig it out. But Orange and Blue game on the 12th. I'm glad they're having one. Spring practice is starting out now. So the roster continues to improve. Just overall, guys, how does this roster look to you right now? I'm hearing, last night we talked about this, Lord Meadows. He hangs with some of those people. He said he's hearing a lot of great things about the receiver room and the speed. Edgar, do you?
Well, let's let ladies first.
Well, before I answer that, I like itching to answer the basketball salary thing. So I just looked up top 25 head coach.
Right. Oh, there you go.
Tom Izzo sitting at 6.1. He's in 3rd. Calipari and Bill Self. Calipari is making $8.5 million. Bill Self is making $9.6 million. If I am Florida, I think you got to go at least 6. I don't think you necessarily have to go to the 8.5 or the 9.6, but he's not on the top 25 paid list. That would put him at 3 if they went 6.2, right? So Bruce Pearl's sitting at 5'7", according to what I
Yeah, he has a bonus. He's going to get a raise too.
Get his extension. Get ready to
I
get
think
his extension.
6 is a nice number.
I think 6 in there. Like, I understand why there's, kind of going to be a gap after 1 and 2, but I think you got to go 6. But all right, so now we can talk football. But I had to.
All right.
Off my chest there. I do think the wide receiver room is going to be really interesting. I don't know the last time we had 2 5-star wide receivers, freshman guys coming in. We would have to do some research to see that. But Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown III, I'm going to be interested to see how they develop right off the bat. I am a huge Billy Gonzalez fan. I think that all he does is quietly put guys in the NFL. I don't ever understand. I feel like once a year, Twitter goes nuts saying we should get a new wide receivers coach. And I literally can never wrap my head around that, because I think he just quietly does an incredible job developing talent. And we've gotten talent in. I want to see who's that number 2 guy, though. Wilson will be the obvious number 1 wide receiver. I want to see who steps up after that. The good news for that wide receiver room is that the running back room is so incredibly talented that I think that's going to end up opening up the passing game. And the offensive line is actually going to be a strength for Florida this year, as opposed to, I don't know, maybe the last 15 years where it's been a weakness. Yeah. So I am really excited to watch. There's a lot of areas, honestly, that I'm so excited to watch, but that wide receiver room is incredibly talented. It's just green. So it'll be interesting to see who kind of emerges.
Yeah, not even talking about some of the obvious ones, but look at this. I got the list here. Eugene Wilson, Tank Hawkins. Here's a guy that's been underused. Aiden Mizell, I love him. Khalil Jackson.
Toby
Michael Sturdivant. Yep. That's the guy you want to see, right? Dallas Wilson.
I think he's very intriguing. J. Michael Sturdivant.
Yeah.
Could be the next. I don't know if he's going to be in the. I mean, Pearsall.
Think how Florida's done with transfers at wide receiver.
Well, that's what I was about to say. DK Badger, Pearsall. Is he the next one? I actually wrote an article today with like 5 things to watch, and that was one of them. Is he going to be the next elite transfer receiver? But the guy that I'm hearing about that's blowing people's minds is Dallas Wilson.
Yeah.
He apparently is really standing out. He's got incredible physical, measurables, 6'3", whatever, 200-ish, but he runs great routes. He's going to impact. Now, I think Vernell Brown, very versatile guy, is going to return punts potentially, maybe, too. And then obviously Trey Wilson is kind of, I think when you said Wilson will be number 1, you meant him, of course.
Yeah.
And he's
as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, you got to think that. And I'm not saying he's been overshadowed by this, and he probably won't ultimately be. But it's funny because we're talking about at least 2, if not 3 guys before him in some ways. So they got a lot of options, and then you get the running back room. And what does Hayden Hansen develop into? I got a guy who's an NFL, evaluator, and he said Hansen. I mean, he just loves Hansen.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of reps. He's getting a lot of kudos.
And that's going to be the,
Here's the thing, and I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but I want to get this in. There's one conversation that came up the last couple of days from a guy who was kind of in the know, said, Billy is so impressed with these guys that he's thinking about playing 4 wides. Wouldn't that be something?
Well, he's never done it.
I know.
It would definitely be something.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, at least put it in for a few plays. At least he loves that tight end, and I understand why. It worked well for him. All right, so we're good with the offensive line. We're good with certainly with the anything else you want to say about the wide receivers, Edgar?
Well, no, but the DJ, back to the line Allie alluded to yesterday, called it the best in the country on that RG3 pod.
I saw that.
And we'll see. I mean, right tackle, you got to shore up. Bryce Lovett sounds like a top candidate there, but it's going to be competition for that. Austin Barber has to really, I think, play better. I mean, I think he's good. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. I need to see a little more from him. Obviously, Jake Slaughter had a huge year. Interior seems pretty good. And Jaden Baugh is going to just get better. And the foot, Jacoby Jackson, I love. And you got, Katie Daniels, you got to think's going to, and you got these other
Katie Daniels,
Maltese Clark, coming from Tampa. There's a lot of options on this offense, man.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm sure you've beaten this topic to death. And Allie, I'm sure, has done it too. Is like, why are there not fresh ideas coming into that room from a coaching perspective? Steve Spurrier Jr. is an analyst, and I mean, maybe he'll bring some ideas, but really to have someone who's really bringing fresh ideas and enhancing this passing scheme to the point where DJ Lagway can be maximized. I just don't know what that was about, why this didn't happen.
I mean, it's his decision, right? He made it. It is what it is. At this point, we're kind of beating a dead horse. But I agree with you. When I look at this offense, the first thing that comes to mind is, man, I hope we don't mess up the play calling for this amount of talent. And I mean, truly, like that's, and I hope that that's not the case, right? I hope that we've learned some things. We've said for years, like, wait until Billy has all of his guys in. This roster is like 95% his. There is nobody left that we can blame and say, like, well, Mullen left the covered bear or this or that. This is Napier's team. So this is his year to prove to us he's got the play calling chops as well, right? Like you could fall back on well, it'll work when I have my guys. Well, it'll work. We're here. We're here. You have your guys. Can you do it? And I think back to games like Tennessee last year, where I feel like if a few things are called differently, and we win that game. And I just don't want to be in that
easily
this year, and Buddy, you mentioned that Billy's so excited about X, Y, and Z. I think the one thing I've learned the last year is that I'm not going to listen to a single thing that I hear about how good we are in a spring press conference or in a summer press conference. And I'm not going to listen to anything a booster texts me that says, oh my gosh, I was so impressed with blah, blah, blah. When former players go out to practice and they tell us what they see, I'll believe that. When you journalists that have been covering this for 20 years go out there and you say, this is really impressive relative to what I've seen all these years, I'll listen to that. But I don't want to hear any hype from anybody who has stake in this team being successful. I just want to watch it with my own eyes.
Yeah, let it be organic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's. I want to bring on the guy.
Well, one sec, buddy. My issue with it is that the passing offense hasn't rated higher than 5th in the conference in 7 seasons. And that included championship teams at Louisiana. So the passing offenses have not been dynamic and explosive. Now, he's not had a quarterback like DJ Lagway, but is he going to be running an offense that Levi Lewis ran at Louisiana that worked really well with a, athletic guy who was 5'10", 185 pounds? I mean, I don't understand why you're not. You talk to people about the routes and how they're easy to prepare for. They're not like, you're not capitalizing on the entire route tree. The spacing isn't great. I don't know, man. The second week, David Pollock of Billy, and I still can't figure out why David Pollock got laid off at ESPN. I thought that guy knew his stuff. He's like, the route concepts aren't good right away. Have they changed? Probably a little. I'm sure. And I'm sure he didn't have no whole arsenal, because AR probably didn't pick up the stuff like DJ can. DJ's very astute and for a young guy, but an AR was very inexperienced, and I think it's taking him time still. But I don't know, man. I mean, we're going to see this year, like you say, it's all going to play itself out.
It'll be fun. I want to tell you about Titan MRI, if I can real fast. Titan MRI.
Please.
And imaging. Now Titan MRI imaging. Acquired Highfield MRI. Joe Coloria started Highfield in 1997. Now he's back. Titan MRI imaging now has 3 locations. 2 in Gainesville with its Park Avenue location, now Millennium Center. 1 in Lake City, serving Columbia County. Offer the same great customer service. Now accepting insurance. And through their self-convenient pay options, Titan MRI imaging offers MRIs, CT scans, X-rays, and ultrasounds. easy scheduling with lots of options. Check them out. Titan MRI Imaging. It's your choice. All right. So, guys, I want to bring this other guy in here, but I want you to tell me that I want to get one more basketball comment in here before we get to the but we'll stick to football and let's bring this guy for a comment about this team. It has a good feel to it, and even the defense looks like it's shaping up. Is this wishful thinking? I'll start with Allie and then go to Edgar and go to this guy. Talk about how good this team, without blowing smoke and being homers, Allie, how good can this team be?
I think it is really reasonable to think this team can win 10 games. I think 9 or above is progress, and it's something all Gator fans should be excited about. They ranked schedules today, and that Florida has the second hardest strength of schedule in the country next year.
The SEC, right?
In the country as well.
Okay.
Who's number one?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yeah. Oklahoma's 1, Florida's 2, but it's not only in the SEC, but the SEC I want to say is like, I don't know, 13 of the top 14 or something, and all SEC teams are in the top 25. We're going to beat the heck out of each other all year long next season. But I do think 10 wins is wholly possible for this team.
You think about what they did, and Edgar, and I'll get to Francis' comments. We've got to stop and look back. They beat ranked teams at the end of the year when people thought they weren't very good. I mean, LSU and Ole Miss, that's not a bad couple of wins right there. Down the stretch, they did win 4 in a row, even though it was Tulane in a bowl game. I mean, that was really an improvement. I mean, Billy went from off the landscape someplace to Never Land back to the football world. People realized, hey, Billy Napier, maybe he can coach. And this guy, DJ Lagway, he's special. Edgar, how special is he?
DJ Lagway?
Yeah. How special?
I mean, the guy could be generational, transcendent. He could be as good as anyone that's come through here, maybe. And that's saying a lot. I'm not saying maybe he won't have the will of Tim Tebow, that winning edge that Tebow brought up. But in terms of throwing a football, my Lord, it's incredible some of those this kid can already make. Now, there's some
skills too.
Excuse me?
I said he's got some leadership skills too.
Oh, it's like I was talking about. In fact, I've referenced your Facebook page, buddy, more than once. There was a scene that you guys put on the page of him slapping 5 to every guy coming out of the tunnel at the Gasparilla Bowl. Every single dude. Walk on, it didn't matter. Boom, 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 boom. And then he turned and went out on the field. I mean, he touched every guy that came through that tunnel. I thought that was really cool for a 19-year-old to show that kind of like buy-in. I mean, he's bought in and he is a leader. And he was hurt. He was not even healthy.
Yes, that was the key point.
He wasn't even healthy in January. I mean, he was still kind of he's still like, I mean, not now maybe, but he was still trying to get healthy well after the season. Yeah. So he wasn't playing at 100%. I remember that Kentucky game, the first play, if you recall that game, he went around the right end for about 13 yards.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Kentucky was like, okay, hold on. That's going to be an issue. And they lit them up. So him not being able to run really took something away. So, the kid's phenomenal. I think the defense, back to that real fast, the front 7 looks like it could be somewhat formidable. If it can get a little depth there and avoid some injuries, they have some pieces. These young linebackers, you got your
love Miles Graham. I love Miles Graham. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this team has tons of potential, man.
Yeah.
They need to maximize it, I mean, and like Ali said, Billy has his team, and this is going to be the year that decides his fate.
This is the year. And France Beard, I know you think that. First of all, quick comment on the basketball, friends. You're watching that, and what a win! Another top 10 team. This team just keeps on going like Energizer Bunny, and I still don't think we've seen our best basketball.
Well, Florida obviously has the 2 best road wins in the SEC this year, having won at Auburn and now at Alabama. I guess you could say Florida's the state champ of Alabama, but of the state of Alabama. But Micah Handlogton, I got to tell you something, buddy. It's what I said a month ago. If he comes back, before he came back, I said if he comes back, he'll be the missing ingredient. And he is, because he comes in there, and even though he only played like about 10 or 12 minutes tonight, he's a wall defensively. And when he's in there, the defense doesn't lose anything. And they can play with anybody because of that. Florida had 50 rebounds tonight. I mean, Alabama was supposed to be the #1 rebounding team in the country, and they got absolutely destroyed on the boards tonight. This team's got 5 guys that can play inside, 5 guys that can play outside. And I don't know that they're, I know, buddy, you don't like 10-man rotation.
Not that I don't like him. I just don't think you can play 10 all the time.
And you can, and he played them, and he's going to, because he's got so many options he can give. And at the end of the game, he had a well-rested ball club.
No doubt about it. Alabama was tired too. Yeah. So, friends, real quick on that. Now they're likely to beat Ole Miss and what? Get to the tournament, double bye. Still got a shot at number one seed.
Well, they got a shot at a #1 seed. They just clinched #2 at the SEC tournament tonight. So if it's going to be Tennessee and Alabama for 3 and 4, I guess. Although Missouri now they're getting beat tonight by Oklahoma, and if that holds up, then it'll be Alabama and Tennessee will be the other 2 teams that get the double bye.
Yeah.
But
let me get a quick football comment from you and keep this thing rolling. We were talking here about weighing in on the talent level, the offensive line being, like Edgar said, one of the big strengths of this team. We know about the running backs, obviously, and we were talking about the wide receiver room, which we all like a lot. Yeah. We're hearing good things about them. You can go through there. They got guys that can play. They can put 6, 7 guys on the field and play. Give me a quick 30-second evaluation of the wide receiver room.
Wide receiver room, I think, is going to – I don't think they'll start the year. I think the magazines will have Florida like the 5th or 6th best wide receivers in the league, but I really believe they'll be something like the #2 or #3 guys, simply because I don't think there's going to be a team in the league that's got more flyers than the Gators. The Gators can are going to be able to stretch the field. The Michael Sturdivant pickup was humongous. And here's another guy that he talked to Ricky Pearsall, and he talked to Elijah Badger, and they said, you want to make it, you want to be a #1 draft pick, you want to get the NFL after you, go work for Billy Gonzalez, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to be a stud. But they got guys that can fly. This team's going to be really, really sound.
Yeah. Allie, you mentioned Billy, and I don't know why he didn't get more attention. He gets a lot of criticism. Yeah. He seems like he gets his players ready for the league as well.
He does.
If you stay with Billy long enough, you'll learn to play the game.
Yeah.
I think this young class he's got here can really benefit from the wisdom of Billy Gonzalez. What do you think?
I mean, I think he just puts people in the league quietly, right? He's not flashy. He's not somebody that's going to be in the news. He has quietly done an excellent job basically everywhere he's gone for a very long time. And I hate the knock on him that he's not a good recruiter. I saw somebody in the comments say that, on Twitter, they say he's not a good recruiter, but he's a good talent developer. But think about the guys. Think about his stops at Florida, LSU, back to Florida. The amount of talent that was recruited at that position during that time, he doesn't get any credit for that. How do other position coaches get credit for the talent that comes in at their position if we're not going to give Billy Gonzalez credit? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I just think he's not flashy. And so people don't think about it as, oh, look at this huge recruiter. He recruits talent. He identifies talent, and then he develops talent and sends them to the NFL.
Edgar?
Well, I didn't know anybody was repping the guy.
Oh, just fans.
Yes.
I mean, I've always been a fan.
Every year.
He clearly develops people. I remember when he was working with Van Jefferson one day, just watching them working together. and just like doing this cone drill or something. And it was like, he was relentless with the guy. And look at what Van Jefferson was able to do. So I don't know, man. I think the guy's terrific. I've known the guy 20 years now, at least. I mean, he came here in 05 with Urban.
Yeah, think about the talent when he was here with Urban. I mean, think about the wide receiver talent. What Florida?
Percy Harvin's the best player in the history of the program for my money. So,
well,
if he had anything to do with that, then he should. You know,
I mean, and even the talent at LSU when he was there coaching wide receivers was incredible. Like he just develops talent. I never have to worry about us having talented wide receivers when he is our coach.
Well, you know, the word is that Percy Harvin punched Billy Gonzalez. Franz, you heard his story. I've checked it out with several people who said it's true. And Urban wouldn't stand up for him. And that's why Billy left. I guess Billy's wife got really angry about it.
Yeah, that story's been out there.
Well, no, I mean, I've heard it.
Had his struggles.
Yeah. But nonetheless, he was a great player. All right. So is Florida at the point right now where they're starting to start getting some of these 5 stars coming to them? Because I think this is what Lagway's done. He's been a magnet. He's been a phenomenal recruiter himself. His integrity, the way he plays the game. People want to play, friends. People want to come catch some of those balls from DJ Lagway, and he's been a huge factor in bringing players here.
He has been, and this is going to be a big year. Allie, I think, is correct in that they could win 10. If they get 10 games, the recruiting's going to go through the roof. Nine's going to help a lot, but if they get to 10, the recruiting will go through the roof. Recruiting follows the winning, and when you win, you recruit well. Some people say it's the other way around. You recruit well, then you win, but when you win, you tend to recruit well. Period. And Florida is in a situation. I can't say that they 100% turned the corner because this is a big year. This is a make or break year. As much as I hate to say it, I think last year proved that Billy can coach. But the question is this: can he do it back to back? We know he can lose games back to back. Now he's got to prove that he can win back to back, and that's going to be the big question mark, I think, going forward. Can he do it in consecutive years? If he can, then he's home free.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't want to start being critical of Billy because, oh my gosh, he's coming off a 4-game win streak. He's been bashed enough. He's got a brutal schedule. You can go down almost. You can almost see 8, maybe 9 wins, maybe this year. But there are people who don't like his MO, who don't think he's enthusiastic enough at certain times, or he doesn't do this right. He's not a good play caller. There's always somebody criticizing Billy for something. And this is something that knows Billy pretty well said to me. I don't know if you guys, he said he's almost like a little old lady and how he approaches things. So meticulous. He wants everything to be in order. He keeps a piece of paper in his back pocket. Everything has to be sequential. He can't do this till he does that and so on. I don't know. Is he too much that way? I just want to see him just let loose. It's funny, Edgar, the quote we all jumped on when he came here was "scared money don't make money." Mm-hmm. That was that's a bon vivant. That's a girl. That's the kind of guy Spurrier. He didn't like that at all, Edgar.
No, he's very
meticulous.
Meticulous, calculated. I mean, he has his plan. He's believes in his plan. He's trying to stick to this plan. And like I said, it's going to play out one way or the other this year. I don't know that I'm ready to say they're going to win 10 games yet. The schedule's pretty brutal. I mean, let's see some of these, the offensive line like really come along. I mean, I think it could be good, but it's still got to show it. The front 7 still, interior defensive line doesn't have any depth, right? I mean, Jamari Lyons is coming off a very severe injury. I mean, Caleb Banks was great in November. He needs to be great in September this year, all the way through November. You can pick apart and question. You can say Ole Miss dropped a bunch of passes. You can say LSU was dysfunctional. Florida State stunk. Tulane had its backup quarterback. You can pick it apart and look at it half glass empty. But I see a guy who's evaluated talent very well, really. I think the roster's got a lot of potential.
Yes,
I do have some staff concerns. I mean, there's a lot of youth on that defensive staff. And again, back to the, passing scheme, but we'll have to give that a chance to marinate and see what it looks like. But he has got the key position in place, quarterback, and he's a leader, as Ali points out, and we see it. And the kid's incredibly impressive and could elevate this team to a really high level just himself, especially if he stays healthy. So, I mean, look, man, I'm looking forward to this season. I'm not looking forward to the first 2 games. I'm tired of watching LIU. USF, I'm fine with, I guess, because they are an in-state school. Let's, not a fan of opening against garbage like that. Those kind of teams need to get off the schedule. Let's start playing the games, right? I mean, playing the real games and putting a resume together. Now, that's not going to be the case this year. They're going to when they go to LSU and Miami, it's going to get real. And from there on, but I'm not going to be very enthused for the LIU game, I have to admit.
Well, I think LSU ended up on the schedule because we had a cancellation, right?
It was FAMU.
Okay.
It's just just stop these games. I mean, I'm done with it. It's easy for me to say I don't play it. If you're getting 2 buys, you play the schedule. You play a real schedule.
We have the number 2 schedule in the entire country with that.
No, I know.
I mean,
but
do they need another hard one?
No, well, because of what's going on in the college football playoff too, people are going to schedule easier. Just watch.
For sure.
So
really with the way they made the decisions last time around.
The simple thing to do is say, okay, you can play your D1 AA team, play it, make that your spring game, give them the paycheck and stuff like that. And I do know it's been thrown around. Now, how serious they're going to be about it, I don't know, but I know it's out there and it's being talked about, the possibility. Again, possibilities and reality sometimes move, they run the 40 about like Edgar and I do, which isn't very fast. Although Edgar could outrun me. I think
Edgar could beat you to 40.
He would.
I think Alec could beat you to 40, by the way.
Probably.
Here's all I'll say. You should have 1 game that helps another program. I'm fine with that. 1. You play a 9-game SEC schedule, you play Florida State, and you play a Big Ten team is what they're talking about in there. And that's your schedule, and you play it. I mean, these kids want to play it. The kids want to play that, right?
Well, play Western Kentucky or play
Stanford.
Play Western Kentucky or UTEP or somebody.
I'm saying you get 1 of those.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's okay.
You're right. You're right.
But don't the kids? I mean, you're married to an ex-football player. He didn't want to play those Louisiana Techs and stuff, right?
Well, mainly because we didn't punt in them.
Good point.
Nice.
That's a good point. Yeah. So, guys, in the remaining minutes, let's get to the defense, okay? Because we haven't talked about it. It's hard to assess the defense, especially in spring games, because they don't really, have tackling. But let's talk about a few players here. I want you guys to help me out. I'll mention 3 names. George Gums, what a surprise he's been, man. Tyreek Sapp and Caleb Banks. They had 16 and a half sacks last season. Now, like you said, they need more. But they lost Cam Jackson, Des Watson, and Joey Slackman. So let's talk about the defense. What else has to happen? I love their linebackers, especially Miles Graham. And I think they got some good players in the secondary. They need help in their coaching in safeties. But let's talk about the defense. What about that? Who's going to fill out the interior front 7? And who's the DB that's going to come shining through? Edgar?
Well, I talked about the front 7 already a little bit. Caleb Banks needs to hit the ground running. He obviously was very impressive down the stretch. Impressive enough he could have left and gotten drafted, and probably in the second day. I mean, I'm thinking. I mean, he looks the part. The guy's impressive, and he played like it, and especially in the Ole Miss and LSU games. I think, and Sapp coming back was huge. Gums is definitely could go from a kind of a revelation to a real impact player.
Yeah.
And that was a great transfer eval there. But Lyons, I liked what I've seen, but he got hurt seriously in that first scrimmage. And LJ McCray needs to make that Jokum jump, where he really goes from being a guy who played some to really being an impact dude. I don't know if he needs to be Jokum Noah great, but he could be something. And then the linebackers, I mentioned him. Aaron Childs is the one who intrigues me. I mean, this guy's like 6'3", can run. I mean, we've seen Pup Howard's a good player. He's a heady player. He's a physical player. I think Childs is a real playmaker. And Miles Graham came on as the season went. He had an off-season back surgery. I don't think he was probably really confident and fully healthy until as the season went on. And I thought he was great down the stretch. So I don't know. In terms of the secondary, I don't have a lot. I mean, it's not in front of me, so I can't pull it off the top of my head. Okay. I'd like to see Devin Moore stay healthy. I think that guy can be elite. Aaron Gates, how fast he comes back, I don't know, but I loved him till he got hurt. So,
Sharif Denson,
Cormani. I mean,
I was going to bring Carney McClain up. He's the guy we're all hoping France and Allie are going to fill that void and step up. Is the guy going to play or not? He's back. I guess he's on scholarship. He got that one pick against Kentucky, but then he kind of fell off. This guy's got 5-star talent. Can they get him on the field, Allie?
I think one of the things that Coach Napier does best is reach his players. So you've got a guy who Dion thought essentially was too lost to help, right? Kind of sends him packing on his way. We watched what happened when his teammates surrounded him, when he got that interception and they celebrated with him. And I feel like it's obvious that they want him to succeed. And Billy was willing to take a gamble, which I don't think was a huge gamble. We talked about it when it happened. I mean, at the time he was a walk-on. He's been scholarship since, but very little risk taking him in. The culture in the locker room is so good that it's not going to be affected if he ended up being a bad egg. But there's a great chance that the good culture in the locker room could really be transformative for him. And I mean, so far, I think that that's what's happened. Now, will we see his 5-star talent on the field? I hope so. I think that it's trending in that direction. He's somebody we're going to need to step up. I really think the quarterback room in general is a room that I'm really interested in watching. I think replacing Jason Marshall Jr. is a tall task, right? I mean, this is a guy with big shoes to fill. There is talent there. Dijon Johnson is somebody I'm interested in seeing. We mentioned Cormani McClain. We're going to need some more reliability there.
Well, for sure, somebody's going to get hurt, and someone I would have mentioned is going to step up and be discovered. That's for sure. Are we good, friends? Are we good with the coaching staff now, with the secondary and the linebackers? Are we okay there?
I think so. And a big emphasis on the word think, because I think they brought in a couple of younger guys who the word is that they're big guys with enthusiasm, and they both have the tie. Sunseri has the tie to his dad and to Nick Saban. I like what I'm seeing there. Deron Wilson, I think, is a good football coach. And finally, he's going to have some talent to work with. I mean, you look at what much Arkansas improved, and they really didn't have a lot of talent. So I think that this coaching can be good. My question is going to be the depth at corner. I think they're going to be fine at safety, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick up 2 guys off the portal after spring practice, and I wouldn't be surprised if both of them are in the secondary.
Well, who do you like? Who do you like at safety? And I'm not even calling you out. I mean, I'm concerned. I wonder at safety myself. I mean, Bryce Thornton came on, and I like Castell, but he's hesitant back there.
Well,
I
I just think that Castell is going to take a step forward. I like that.
I love the kid.
I think Gates is going to be that guy that probably.
Well, Gates is incredible, but I mean, he tore his ACL, right?
Yeah,
like in November.
But I think he'll be. I've heard that he has come along very well. I don't know that for a fact. Ben Hanks intrigues me. I'll say that. And they did recruit some young safeties. I'm trying to remember the kid from Jacksonville, Mandarin, played with Tramel Jones. Yeah,
Stubbs. He's intriguing for sure. And that Hayward kid, the Georgia kid, I think they recruited some guys. I'm trying to remember. I should be trying to pull stuff up.
Honest Cannonberry is another guy that they felt that Billy felt that this is a guy that should have been a high 4-star. And instead, he was considered a high 3-star. But I like the young talent there. I think they're going to be, again, Edgar.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now. It's Laganza
Hayward.
Laganza Hayward. Yeah, I think they got some pretty impressive recruits at that position, but it's hard to play safety as a true freshman.
Well, they got
Stubbs kid will flat out knock you into next week. Sorry about that, Allie. I didn't mean.
Oh no, I was saying Caraway coming in. He's a senior.
Oh yeah.
There's
That's
some
right.
Some age there as well.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of transition in that.
Got to tackle. You got to make the tackles as a safety. I know you have to cover also, but all right, guys, how about this? Who is Tommy Doman?
Michigan punter that transferred.
Hey, she got it.
That's why you're here tonight.
Yeah.
Give us a rundown.
Yeah,
How's he going to replace Crawshaw?
I don't know a whole lot about him yet. I'm hoping to get up to spring practice and watch a little bit, but I think it was a smart move. If you're not confident that you're in your true freshman that you've signed, which, you guys have been around, you remember there was a period of time where we went 4 years and then got a punter, 4 years and then got a punter. We weren't doing this, every couple of years. You came in and you were playing every game of your college career and they weren't signing another punter until you were gone. But that's, if you're not 100% sure that the true freshman that you signed is going to be able to be the guy day one at 18, it's smart, right? It's smart to take somebody with game experience, Big Ten experience, weather experience. He's not going to see anything down here that is going to touch some of the games he's probably played in as a Wolverine in terms of temperature, right? He might just be hot. I think it's big shoes to fill. Jeremy was a really talented punter. I think he's going to have an NFL career. But it's an important position, right? And we have a legacy of really good punters at Florida for a really long time.
How far can
Jeremy sat a year before he punted too.
Yes, Jeremy did, but I'm thinking like Eric, Chaz Henry, Johnny
Townsend's.
Well, Tommy transferred in. Tommy was at Tennessee, but Johnny was there.
Kyle Christie was a Ray Guy finalist in 2012.
Kyle Christie was right after Eric. Or no, it was Chaz. It was Eric, Chaz, Kyle Christie, Johnny, Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
There's, in all of Tommy didn't play all 4 years, but all those other guys, 4 years in a row. Then the next one, 4 years.
They had 1 year with some guy, I can't even remember his name, with Mullen, and then they got Crawshaw.
So David Lerner played some. He was also on Urban's team that year, and then somebody else did as well.
But I'm talking about like 19. Who was it?
It might have been David Lerner. He played. Now I got to Google. Hold on a second here.
Florida had Tommy Townsend, Jacob Finn under Mullen, Tommy Townsend, then Jacob Finn.
I don't remember that name
was the punter in 2020, and Crawshaw.
Okay, well,
Crawshaw was the backup. Jacob Finn punted 26 times that year.
Okay. I do not in any way remember that name. I must have been.
There was another guy, but
fog. David Lerner was number 40. He punted some for Florida. Let's see here. He appeared in 6 games in 2011 for the Gators.
I'm going like much more recent.
Much more recently. Well, in general, we have a really strong,
for sure,
really good punters that have longevity at UF, and it's big shoes to fill. But I like the move. I like the attention and commitment to special teams here, right? Like this is my biggest soapbox since Napier. Well, maybe not my biggest, play calling's been up there, but one of my biggest soapboxes has been special teams matter. This is a third of the game, and you need to treat it like Urban treated it, like Ron Zook treated it. Like, I just, special teams count, particularly if you're a team that's going to play in close games. It's going to win or lose you ball games, depending on if you take it seriously or not.
Here's the thing I'll tell you about Mr. Dolan. Forget last year when they had bad special teams and he still had a good year. When they won the national championship, Mr. Dolan's punts were only returned for a grand total of 73 yards the whole year.
Wow.
Gets a lot of. He's not gonna hit as many 50-yarders as Jeremy hit, but he's going to get a great deal of hang time.
Yeah.
And so what do you want to do? You want 50 yards and the guy gets 10-yard return, or do you want a 40-yarder and the guy gets nothing?
Yeah. I mean, 6 here, half dozen there. I personally, give me the hang time and get my guys down there, particularly with some of the speed that Florida has on their roster right now.
And let Wilbur flip the ball so we can do an end around.
All right, you guys are great, but we got to cut it off at some point. I just want to say that the greatest name of anybody is the guy who plays on special teams. They need to move him to linebacker, Trace Mack. I mean, he needs to be a linebacker, man.
Well, he smacks the football.
I know. Yeah. But all right, so all right, guys.
Yeah, he's good. I was going to bring him up. He's good to get back. I mean, he was very clutch. That LSU game, remember he hit that big one to make it 13-10. That was a critical kick. He missed the one at Texas to kind of when they needed some momentum, and then he played really well after that. Had some 50-yarders. The guy, he's very, very good. He's a weapon.
In that game.
18 and 21.
Yeah.
And
I'll throw a name out there and ask how many people. I know Buddy does, but do y'all remember a guy named Bobby Joe Green?
And Don Chandler.
Well, yeah, Bobby Joe Green was an NFL player for years.
Yeah. He used to take hula hoops. He used to coach the punters, and he'd put hula hoops out on each corner, and then stand at the 50-yard line and make bets that he could put the ball in the hula hoops 8 out of 10 times, and he always won.
Didn't he play for the Steelers before they got good?
It was the Steelers and then the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, he was with the Steelers.
Don Chandler played for the Giants for a long time. Yeah.
And the Green Bay Packers.
He was the Packers kicker in the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
The original Marlboro man for the commercials.
We're talking to Allie about people she's never even heard of.
No, I have, but that's a really good Jeopardy stat.
There you go. You could have a special teams Jeopardy. Allie could host it. All right,
he died
guys.
of lung cancer because they gave him a lifetime supply of Marlboros as part of his
cautionary tale too.
And he died of lung cancer. But the Giants and the Packers played 10 years in the NFL, and I think he was in the NFL championship game 8 out of 10 years.
All right, guys, great job. Good. Any final thoughts? I'll give you all your final 60 seconds for closing arguments and thoughts. Let's start with Allie.
Well, you mentioned that Billy got, his tagline became "The scared money don't make money." And now looking back at that clip, I think about when I was a teenager or something and we'd teach my grandmother something in Spanish that she didn't know what it meant, but we'd have her say it in video or doing it. That's kind of what I think this ended up being, is that someone just randomly taught him a rap line. But I think this is going to be a really good season for the Gators. I think the things that Billy Napier does incredibly well are evaluate talent, locker room buy-in. The fact that team didn't quit after the first half of the season last year when, we essentially put a for sale sign in Billy's yard, I think speaks volumes about what he's like inside that locker room. And I really think we've seen him do some interviews lately where we've gotten a little bit more of a glimpse about who he is. And I think huge for him. And I hope we get to continue to see more of that.
Good points, Allie. Edgar?
What she said was pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
No, look, I'm excited about this basketball team, man.
Yeah, why not?
Spring football, it's sacrilege. I get it. I don't really care. It's fine. It's necessary. I'll I'll put some eyes on some guys. I'm looking forward to it. It's, you know, you don't want anyone to get hurt. DJ needs to continue to make steps and get the chemistry and timing going with these receivers. That's fine. I'm excited for what's coming up in March. We're in March. It's the greatest event in sports, you could argue. I think it delivers every year. And Florida's going to be a big part of it this year for the first time in a long time, really since 14. I mean, the 17 team was a surprise.
Fluke.
This team is expected to do something like that 14 team was. And I think so. There's going to be a lot of buzz and excitement going into March Madness with this team.
How about this is the condition of football in Florida? The number one reporter of football can't wait to see the spring basketball. I get it.
Oh, come on. I'm
only kidding you, Edgar. Don't get sensitive.
Hey, I think of him as Mr. NASCAR these days. Edgar.
Yeah, Daytona was good.
I know.
I'm at Bay Hill right now. I got
well, give me a little Bay Hill. I got to get a little Bay Hill in there because I knew Arnie a little bit. And I had a chance to be in his company a few times, primarily because my college roommate was a golf course architect at sea. And the times I was around him, such a neat experience. I mean, not going to dwell on it, but he just was. I love the story about Curtis Strange. You guys ever heard that story about Curtis Strange, Arnold Palmer?
Tell me.
Strange, well, it's a great story.
I mean, he went to Wake Forest like Arnie.
Yeah, but that's not the point. Curtis was a kind of a wise ass when he was a youngster. Yeah. 24, 25 years old. He came down to play golf, I guess, in the Citrus Open, whatever it was. And he was asked to sign the autographs. And he went, shh, like that real fast, you know. And Arnie called him off to the side and said, let me tell you something, son. If these people care enough to come over here and ask for your autograph, you owe it to them to write a legible name so they can read it. Don't ever do that again. You think that didn't stick with Curtis? He told the story years later. But he didn't say it in a mean way, and he wasn't kind of get off my lawn guy. He was a tremendous guy. You talk about charisma. I mean, he would light a room up. And I'm glad they got that statue of him out there between 1 and 18 like that because he was special. Let's remember, it was his golf and him playing with Ike at the Masters, and so when he won it, and of course, when he drove the green in Cherry Hills, that was the beginning of TV golf right there, really, that right there.
So, what, the 1960 U.S. Open?
1960 U.S. Open at Cherry
Hills.
Yeah,
well, so, I mean, here, just yesterday, they gave the award to Justin Rose and his daughters there, his grandson there, Sam and Amy Saunders.
Yeah.
And it's all Arnie here. It's just a whole, everybody pays, you know, homage to the man, and he's still
as they
so
should,
revered.
as it should be, as it should.
Oh,
be.
I mean, everybody just talks glowingly of him. He was like one of one, as his grandson said, just the way he treated people. He was, and the philanthropic work. I mean, you know, Arnold and Winnie Palmer, Hospital for Babies. Did you have your babies there?
No,
Allie,
I did
not.
Yeah,
because I thought you lived in Orlando, didn't you?
I did. Winter Park Hospital is where I had.
Okay. But they have that. They have the foundation. They're just doing stuff. That's what they care about. This golf tournament facilitates a lot of charitable work. But, you know, it's a great golf course. It's a hard golf course. It's supposed to be blowing like crazy this week. I mean, it was blowing today at like 5 o'clock.
Every year.
I mean, it is going to be a nightmare out there. It's going to be fun
and
to
those
watch.
greens will be dried out, man. They'll be rude.
Oh, it's going to be fun to watch.
Allie
could care less about this, but it's going to be
That's not true. And I've been to it. I did radio in Orlando. We covered it every year.
All right. Well, good. It's an incredible event. I love it, man.
Here's the deal about Arnie, I want to say.
Okay.
Is that you remember, I mean, I know I'm an old guy, and I treasure the times I had to spend talking to him. But you don't realize how much he was beloved. When Jack Nicklaus beat him, when Jack was, 21? And they hated Jack. And they gave him the nickname Ohio Fats.
Yeah, because he was chunky.
Oh, to say the least.
Fat Jack.
But you know what he did? Jack Nicklaus made himself over completely. He lost a bunch of weight. He got great-looking clothes.
He quit
let his hair
smoking.
grow long. Well, not really, because he was a closet smoker. I smoked with him, I know. So, but nonetheless, the bottom line was he did all this, and he made a really concerted effort to know the names of everybody who covered golf. He said, "Yes, Edgar, I got that. Oh, okay, yeah, Allie." He knew everybody's
I will
name.
see Jack Nicklaus tomorrow, and he'd walk up and say, "Hey, Edgar," and he'll
Absolutely.
squeeze your arm, grandfather.
Absolutely.
He's a good dude too. Those
Great
two
dude.
guys. Gary Player. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I cover him with the father-son. He was 89 this year.
Yeah.
He's got a new girlfriend. Who's 83.
Yeah.
I mean, he's incredible. Like his
Wow.
stories, we talked to him for 45 minutes. I mean, but Arnie was the man of all those. He was Tiger before Tiger.
Right.
He put golf on the map. Endorsements. He was the first real endorsed athlete. And he's an incredible influence, man.
Yeah, don't get me started on Arnie. I could talk all night, but the one thing
Franz, what do you got with Arnie?
Let me finish this one. Let me finish one thing on that since you brought it up. I used to write a story every year and cover the Masters. And I'd write for the Augusta Chronicle. They ran my column there for a while. One year, Arnie always sat outside, in the lawn by the big tree, would sit there and have his Arnold Palmers or whatever he had. And
vodka.
I went looking for him. I want to do a story about the secrets of Augusta National, things that people know that we don't know, right? So I went down with Arnie. I asked him a question, and he said, "Well, let me tell you something. Down the hill at 11, if you go back in the woods on the left, there's a latrine back there." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, because," he says, "I have to use it sometimes. I know." He said, "You go back in there and you go in the woods and you see guys disappear and come out. There's a bathroom back in it. That's one of the secrets." Point is not that's the great story. He was giving you something, always gave you something special. Love that guy, and I really will always miss him. And I thank him for what he did for golf. Franz, your thoughts?
P-Head Walker, the late, great Wake Forest football coach, said the best running back he ever saw in high school football was Arnold Palmer.
Interesting.
And Jack Nicklaus, I will tell you one quick story.
Well, he was a badass fullback, wasn't he, Jack?
Jack was a middle linebacker. And
was he? Okay.
Yeah, but he played both ways in those days.
Catcher in baseball.
I threw a club head on my 7-iron, and I was using Nicklaus clubs, and this goes back to like 1999, 2000, somewhere around there. And I was using Nicklaus clubs, and I was in West Palm Beach. So I called Nicklaus Golf and told him about it. Next thing I know, I'm on the phone with Jack Nicklaus, and he says, "Bring all your clubs in and leave them with me for 2 days." And I did. They gave me new heads and new shafts and new grips on. I get a brand new set of clubs.
Still worth a
all because of that. And I needed them because I was that bad of a golfer. But
we all are. But it's still a great game.
But Jack Nicklaus became who he was because Arnold Palmer, for one thing, introduced him to Mark McCormack, because Arnold saw something into him and said, "Let's take this guy on." And Mark McCormack was against it, and Arnold talked him into it. And look what happened with those three guys. My gosh, they transformed the business into sports. They really did.
As much as I love Arnold Palmer, my all-time favorite athlete to cover was Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. All right, guys. Great discussion. We should
Thank
start
you.
earlier. Thank you. Great. Thank you, Edgar. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Franz. Thank you for being
people
on.
got their money's worth tonight.
They did. I tell you what a big win for the Gators. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Good night,
guys. Nice seeing you guys. Good night.
All right, good night.
See ya.
All right. Thank you, folks, for hanging with us on that. Great to have these people on at night. They're very knowledgeable, and they bring a lot to the table. So, again, Gators win tonight in Tuscaloosa. Huge second win over a top 10 team this season. Phenomenal way they were playing. Just so much fun to watch this team play basketball. We're all enjoying it, right? You heard Edgar Thomson said, I can't wait till the tournament starts. He's more excited about the basketball team than the football team, which he covers. But that's good. It's fun. When it's fun, everybody wants to be a part of it, right? And certainly this team is fun, nothing else. And great to see them play. They play hard. They just do it right. So I want to be sure and tell you folks about my friends at Red Medical Research. We're going to see if we can find it here. Here, and tell you about who they are, what they mean. Superior Medical Service. They are great people to know in the neighborhood, in the community, because they do so many things for the community. And among the things they do is they look after our health. Red Medical Research, located in downtown Ocala. Great steward of downtown. My friends, Mary Brantley and her partner, Joe Sorrentino, do this. They founded this company. They do great work, and they want you to look into their clinical trials. And if you need to go something, I mean, this is a great opportunity. You can get paid for this, but they do these clinical trials. They've done over 800 of them over the years, where they get data and they send it off to the companies to learn more about our health in the North Central Florida area. And they do a great job. Check it out, whether it's measles, mumps. Okay, go to WinStar.net and check it out. And I would really appreciate if you consider the possibility of doing it for a clinical trial for me, for you, and for WinStar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Folks, it's been a great night. It's been a fun week. It's been a great, if you're a Gator fan, it's been fun. And Edgar's right. It is going to be a great time this spring. This team is going to make a mark. They're going to do it right. And I suspect we'll see them along the way quite a few weeks to come. Boy, it's fun, isn't it? Fun when you win, especially fun when you have a team like this. And Todd Golden has taught them how to play the game, and they're all enjoying it. Have a great night, folks.